gentlemen that rode their donkeys, they rode up there on those little horses. This is what they carried for tools right here. Those men would load up on their donkeys, and they would lead 3 or 4 more behind them empty to help them carry back all that quartz they planned to work out. Those men would work their way up to the tops of that mountain where those seams were exposed, and they would work by hand, breaking out that quartz, loading it onto those donkeys, sending it back down the mountain to further process it. In 1904, guys, we found some gold up there. We built a bunkhouse. Now we have a place to stay, place to eat, place to sleep. Now we can work here for long term. When we did that, guys, that gentleman right there could make himself $1 a day for a 12-hour shift. 25 cents out of his dollar went back to the bunkhouse for his dinner and his bed. Not a bad shift. 50 cents was our average wage down here in town. Our shoemakers, our cobblers, make about 50, 55 cents. So there's some good money to be made if you're willing to come up and work for it. And we had another crew you could get on, especially if you guys wanted to work together. We call them teams. We call them driller teams. And these teams would come together, guys, and there would be groups of 2. And they'd be issued this beautiful 8-pound double jack and a 2-foot steel. And these guys can make $1.50 a day, drilling tunnels, moving ourselves forward through our mountain. This gentleman right here that holds onto this, we call him the shaker. His job is to not shake.
So $1.50 each, right?
$1.50 each. 25 cents back to the bunkhouse. So guys, we work together. My job is to hold on to this very steadily while my partner sits opposite hand of me and swings his hammer at that steel head. The nickname of the shaker came from my method after he hits it. Once he hits it, I give it a little shake and a twist, knocking out that little bit of debris that he just chiseled out. Slowly working ourselves toward a 2-foot hole. Guys, I need about 30 of these holes to create a tunnel 4.5 feet wide by 6 feet tall so we can move forward. Each one of these holes takes me and my partner about an hour. So I got a little over 2 days work right here to move ourselves 2 feet deeper into that mountain. A lot of work, guys. And we worked like this until about 1910 here in this mountain. In 1910, we got our power here at this mountain, guys. And when we got our electricity, we went industrial with this giant machine. Our valley, guys, the Silverton Valley, lit up with electricity in May of 1906. And that was before a lot of people in New York even knew what electricity was. And this was all thankful to a gentleman by the name of Nicholas Tesla. This young man was an inventor here in Colorado, Southern Colorado, and he invented some of the first power plants that we use right here to power these mills, or these mines, and our mills further down towards Durango, giving us that great love for that Silverton Durango train. He would bring us up our supplies, our coal, our goodies, and we would in turn load it down with the ore to send it back down to be smeltered down and put on the market, giving us all money. Guys, in 1910, we got this beautiful drill right here, and this was a big game changer. This is over a 300-pound drill. So these men first brought it in, they didn't know. This stuff's pretty light, I can carry it by myself. They brought in this 300-pound drill, guys, pinching this beam right here between the back and their seal down here, running this beam right up and down. They found that this machine right here could drill a 4-foot hole in about 15 minutes. So long, they didn't ever wanted to see these again. These men grabbed hold of this machine, they brought it down here, and we started going to town, guys. We started drilling. And we drilled with this machine up into about the 1920s. And at that time, we noticed that we had lost hundreds and thousands of young miners. And guys, that was due to the amount of dust that came off this machine. This machine was a dry drill, so it produced a lot of dust. These young men would come in here running this piece of equipment, a lot of them not living longer than a year working behind this piece of equipment. It was silicosis. It was all the silicon, guys. We could not process it. Our lungs couldn't give it up. We slowly breathed this in and we choked to death. 1925, guys, we finally introduced a new version of this machine right here. All we changed was we gave it a water port right here. So now we can push water through this machine. We got a beautiful new tool steel right here. Guys, it had a tube that runs all the way through it, delivering our water right to the face. When we did that, it got rid of our dust. We also noticed it sped up our drill as well. We went from drilling 4-foot holes in 15 minutes. We dropped it down to about 8. Big game changer for us.
Lubrication.
So guys, we continued moving forward with this drill, drilling 4-foot holes, moving ourselves every 12-hour shift 4 feet closer to our goal. And we ran this machine right into the late 50s. You guys want to hear it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then came the dental drill.
Cover your ears, Ellie.
Ready?
Whoa.
That's loud, huh? Guys, that's about 4 or 5 hours out of your 12-hour shift.
Oh, man.
You drill out these 30 holes, and we'd pack up our drill, scoot it back. We'd come in and load it with our dynamite or our black powder, blasting our rock, moving us 4 feet forward. We'd then spend the rest of our shift cleaning up all this material, getting it all cleaned up. That way, the next guys that came in could set this up and do the whole thing over again. So every 12 hours, we were moving 4 feet. In 1960s, guys, late 50s, early 60s, this beautiful machine right here came out. And I still carry this machine today. It hasn't changed a bit. This is a Denver Gardner 83 series. This is a single man drill. Instead of a 300 pound that takes 2 men, this one weighs about 140 pounds. I carry it by myself. As I carry in my drill, my partner carries in one too. So now instead of 2 of us on one machine, we are both on our own machines. This machine is fantastic, guys. We went from drilling 4-foot holes in 8 minutes with 2 men to drilling 6 and 8-foot holes, single guys, in 3 minutes and 5 minutes. Big game change for us. This allowed us to start to move through the earth at over 1 foot an hour. Big change. Me and my partner bring these machines in, we hook it up to our air and water, and this machine, guys, actually floats on air, taking away all the weight of this beam. Now I'm just the pilot of it, so I steer it. All this leg does is it pushes that drill forward into the face for me. You guys want to watch this one work?
Yes, sir.
All right. They get any quieter, didn't they?
Yep.
It's got that beautiful smell of money.
How long do these bits last?
The bits?
Yeah.
We got new tungsten. So once we got these beautiful bits here, guys, these tungsten carbide bits came out in mid-20s, early 30s. These had tungsten carbide in them. Our older bits were hardened steel. They'd only drill 2 or 3 holes.
Wow.
These tungsten carbide bits would drill 50 or 60 holes. The old ones were all one piece. We had to send them back out to be rehardened at the mill, rent a blacksmith shop and brought back in. This one unscrewed and screwed on. So when it went bad,
Throw it away.
throw it away, exactly.
Just like
And that
that.
was our first bit company too. It's called Throwaway Bit.
It's like dentistry does the same thing.
Yep, use it one time, gone. So guys, these 2 machines right here, these are called linear drills. These drill tunnels. Our tunnel's about 4.5 feet wide, 6 feet tall. They create a passageway for us to move through the mountain, finding that beautiful quartz seam. Once we find that quartz seam, guys, we create what we call as a stope. Our stope is our entry point up into that vein. That vein's only 2 feet wide, miles long, hundreds of feet high. So as we come in there, guys, we start to create levels. We mine it out, scoop it out, send it down our stope, into our chute, down to the next floor to be loaded on the train. Once we create that level, guys, we come back in, put up a scaffolding, and we drill out the floor above it, let it fall down. We create another level of scaffolding, drill it out, let it fall down. When we drill those narrow veins out, guys, we come in here with these guys right here. This is a stoper drill. This drill right here drills upwards. These ones drill horizontally, this one drills vertically. This is what we come in here and eat that 2 foot wide seam out with. We pull that quartz seam out, guys, we get it sent down, we send that to the mill, and that's how we all make a paycheck. Any questions about tools?
I have a question, just backing up a little bit. Without electricity, what was their lighting system?
Candles. And I'll show you guys those two. I have one.
Got it.
All right, guys. Should we go down and see how we get around? Let's take a walk. Walk towards that keep outside. Let's do that. So guys, if we were working here back in 1968 for Dixieland, we would have rode in on that train like we did, but that train would have passed right through here, stopping here, dropping us off, so we could ride up our elevator. We call this the shaft, and we call this the hoistman's cradle. As we move up and down through here, guys, this is all driven by a gentleman in a hoist who sits right back here behind us in this tunnel. We're gonna walk through his room in just a minute. He runs a big drum hoist that pulls the cable that runs this basket up and down through this shaft. This shaft is over 650 feet. It's roughly about a 65-story building. As this basket moves up and down through here, guys, the only way our hoistman knows where it is by colored marks that have been painted on his cable. Every floor is issued a color, and then that color is then correspondingly painted on his cable. So as he rolls his cable in or out, when that color comes by on the rope, he can light them up together, and he knows exactly where this basket is. This beautiful bell right here, this is our line of communication. And guys, we still use this today. It's not connected with a rope anymore, but with a wire, but it's still very widely used. This would be operated by what we call our cager. Our cager is a gentleman that works on each floor. He stands here, loading us on and off of the hoist, calling the hoistman, letting him know what's going on up above. So every floor has one of these bells mounted right here at the hoist, and they are all connected together by this rope. So when I pull on this one, it rings every bell through this entire shaft. That's how we talk to each other. And like I say, we still use this today. It's not with a rope anymore, but with a wire and a button. But we still use all of these signals to speak to each other. So as we move up and down, guys, we know how to get a hold of each other. And we move. We get to our floors for work. Once we get to our floor for work, guys, a lot of us enter our stove. Our stove's that little access, right? It's gonna be about 4 feet by 2 feet. Our vein's very narrow. Right up through that vein, guys, to get to our working levels, we ride in this right here. We went from a nice big one that holds a bunch of guys to this one that barely holds one guy. We call this a coffin skip. No pun on the name intended, but if you were to get caught in it, it'd be the last box you would ever. So this right here, guys, accesses that quartz vein and travels hundreds of feet up through that very narrow 2-foot wide seam.
I think I'd get stuck.
Exactly. I like it. I'm a bigger guy. I don't fit. I'll work on the bottom. As me and him would be, our smaller partner, we load up in here
Put
with
some axe
one
on these.
tool, and then we would very nicely send him off to work. And those are the two ways that we move vertically through our mountain, guys. We start off with this nice big one. We come in on big tunnels. And if you listen, the closer we get to actually working, the smaller everything really gets. So you can't be afraid of the dark or small places or heights. Because that's everything we have right here. If we look up here, guys, this beautiful blue that we see above us is some oxidized copper.
Mm-hmm.
If we were to touch it right now, it'd be like toothpaste. It's kind of sticky, a little bit gritty.
Is that why they're, like on our way up by train, the water was kind of that color?
Yes and no. There's a few things that go on with this. This water is very clear, and a lot of our beautiful blue sky that we see, this comes from our water. So that sky is reflected in our water. We see some blueness. and some of it is from copper. A lot of it also has to do with the temperature of the water as we come up through here. A lot of this water that flows out of here stays about 47 degrees. Very cold water has a darker look to it. It'll give you that blue hue.
How about this black oozy looking stuff?
The black oozy looking stuff is actually just water.
That's just water.
That's
Minerals
just
in
water. It's black right there because that's where it's constantly running over that stone. And you can see directly beside it, the stone, it doesn't look quite so black. I've actually got out there and touched it myself because I didn't believe it, but it's really, that's where the water is running over it.
How about these, is that also copper?
This is also copper
Yeah.
a little bit. It's a blue that you see down here.
Yeah.
And as we start to look up the shaft here, you
Yeah.
can see a little bit of the pale blue,
Yeah.
which is copper. And the red you see right there is iron calcite.
Uh-huh.
And that's what we see coming out of Red Mountain as you guys go back and forth over Uray.
Right, right.
It is not mining debris. It's a mineral-rich mountain.
Yeah.
It does it on its own.
Mother Nature. Pretty cool.
All right, guys. Let's wander on down our tunnel this way and let's head into our hoisting shaft.